unfortunately, even if you don't want them to, they definitely do impact you to a certain degree, even if like, you're locked in, like you feel the energy. So it could feel strange sometimes, but you have to like try your best to just be like, okay, I'm committed to the bit and I'm doing this. And yeah, I might look crazy, but this is, for my fans, is what I want people to see like who I am and that, I have a witty personality and that I'm quirky. So I think that, I have to like block out the background noise sometimes, especially if I'm doing things in public and people are looking at me like, who is this girl?
No, that's fun. And I think there's a beauty. I've always had these conversations with friends, I mean, everybody wants, I want to be a rock star. Everybody wants to be a rock star, like why wouldn't you? But the level you can get where you start losing anonymity. And I've only had that in little pockets in, smaller towns in my region. Like, aren't you from that one band? Um, and that level has been awesome. Like, oh, it makes you feel good. I can't imagine. I mean, all the paparazzi stories of when you just lose the ability to be seen anywhere without dealing with stuff. Uh, but I think for a lot of people that's a problem they're willing to deal with. Over, I guess over your career, I noticed you had a track on Sirius XM on the Train Track show with Pat Monahan
Yes,
on Train.
yes.
Um, what was that? What was that process like? Were you very involved? Was that through a publicist, or were you involved much with trying to get that placed and then eventually getting it on the show?
So my manager at the time actually had a friend who had a close relationship with them and then played them the track and they were like, "Yeah, cool, like let's play it. Like this is awesome." Which was like a really cool experience because I love Train. I literally like Hey Soul Sister is my favorite song. I just does something to my brain. It makes me happy. Like I have a lot of favorite songs. I have a lot of favorite artists, but like when I hear that song, if people ask me what is your favorite song, it is that. It's always been that ever since I was younger. Ever since I came out, I'm like, yeah. Ever since I heard that, that is my favorite song. So to hear that and then hear his intro, I was like, this is so cool.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I
Yeah.
did have one other question I wanted to ask about social media.
Mhm.
It's so separate from music. I hate when people ask, what's your secret? But you've gotten, I mean, I think 12,000 followers on Instagram and 13,000 on TikTok and 500 or 55,000 listeners on Spotify, monthly listeners.
Mhm.
That's that's a level of success that a lot of artists don't get to. I mean, so not secrets, but other than putting content out there, do you have some strategies that you might offer other artists of try this and see
Yeah.
if it works?
I think that with the content and just music in general, I think that it's consistency, number one, definitely, but also you have to have, I don't want to say a plan because there definitely have been times, like, for example, little secret for TikTok, I had a rollout plan and I was not really considering Halloween, which was like weird because Halloween's my favorite holiday, surprise. So I was like, you know what? Like last minute, it just flipped in my head. And we've had the song for a while, we've had the production done, and we've had the vocals done. We just didn't have it like tuned or mixed or mastered or anything. And I was like, I just like walked into the studio and I said to my producer and I was like, you know what? Like we should do like a Halloween drop. Like we should like make this a thing. And he was like, you know what? Honestly, like I'm down for that. And it was kind of a random decision. I mean, we had time to prepare, of course, but I think that I won't say like a plan is the most important. I think having, I don't want to say a backup, but you need to have some sort of vision. I'll say that. So I think consistency, but also, having things to fall back on like, hey, this is the plan, but the plan doesn't always go as planned. So I think that for me, like I need to always have a plan B. I mean, that's just my personality. So I like to have everything way ahead. Like right now we're working on finishing some stuff that's going to be done, mid of next year. So, I definitely am always like ahead of schedule. So I will say that and also consistency. Like I think there are definitely times where I go through, just moments of like not being motivated and being like, I don't want to track this today. I'm feeling lazy. I'm feeling tired. I didn't have a good night's sleep. Whatever the case may be. And I feel like you just have to, obviously within reason, push yourself to, make the video or, take the time if you have a few hours of downtime to, you know, just even like watch other people's videos. Like I think it's important to do your research too and see what other people are doing and see like what else is out there and like what's working for them. And I think that, it's just inspiration. Like for me, like I work off titles a lot when I'm writing, and before my sessions, like I will just put on Spotify, a playlist I've never listened to before. It could be anything. It could be country, it could be metal, it doesn't matter. Like I just need to sometimes like, reference other things and like get out of my comfort zone. So I feel like that's important.
Yeah, I loved seeing it was an interview and some quotes from Kobe Bryant before he passed away about how much he paid attention to Taylor Swift's career. And they were like, "You like Taylor Swift?" He's like, "Well, the music is here or there, but she as an artist is the best. So it would be ridiculous not to see what's going on and see what the commonalities might be." And yeah, I think that's great advice. I mean, whether it's socials or writing your next song, to be aware of trends and what's popular and maybe incorporate it, maybe not. But then, if you do too much of that, you're derivative. So you have to
Mhm.
inject originality. But
Yes.
yeah, I think being aware. The other thing that you hit on that I think is very important that a lot of artists don't do is think 6 months or a year ahead. I know I was in so many bands that we save up money for studio time, recorded, and as soon as it was done, released it, and then said, "Hey, come check out our album. It's released." That's the worst way to do any of this. Oh, I love the idea of record some stuff, have some things in the can ready to go in case
Yeah.
there is a moment that presents itself. Uh,
Yeah, 100%. I think it's really important, like I said, especially with TikTok. Like, I don't know, I kind of was like teetering on like what was going to be next after, what I recently released when I was looking at the lineup because I came in the studio, I wrote everything down on a piece of loose leaf with a marker, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a situation. And then the next day I came in and I was just like, I don't know, like do I want to put this type of sad song out around like one of my favorite holidays, like right before Christmas? Like, there's so much to consider. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just pull the plug and switch things around. But even with that happening, with that being said, we definitely still had, you know, some time to make that decision and like really like sit in it because like I said, I always have a plan B. So I'm the type of person where like sometimes like things need to marinate even if it's for a small second. Like I need to make sure I'm sure about my decision. So it's important.
yeah, you mentioned so far you've talked about loose leaf piece of paper and voice memos and recording and everything. How do you organize all of that? Like right now, if I say, "Hey, go look at your last 10 songwriting ideas," is
Mhm.
there some sort of an organization on computer files or something like that on your phone?
Yeah, so I work off titles. So I think for me, like I have a lot of notes in my phone. They probably should be more organized and condensed into one. But like my process, I guess, is like if I know I have a writing session, even if it's like, oh, I have a writing session today and tomorrow, I'll make separate lists of titles. So like that can be just like me listening to somebody else's music and they say like a cool word or the concept is cool. And then I can think of like a title that's narrow that is like about something that I've experienced that I can reference. It can go that way. There are times where like I've just been out with my friends and they've said a phrase or I've said a phrase and then I'm like, hold on, ding, 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 and write it down. Or like even something random like a street sign. I mean, maybe not like that, obvious, but like something that's, posted on a poster board if I'm walking like, anywhere, like literally anywhere. So I work off titles and I'll always like prep like 10 to 15 titles like for each session that I have. And then like eventually, like I said, I need to do, I'll condense like whatever we didn't use for that session and it'll roll over into the next. And then some of them I'll be like, nah, that wasn't good. Or like, I really want to focus on this. I really feel like this today. So that's kind of my process when I'm, preparing for a session and like kind of like how I organize my thoughts. And then, yeah, I'll go in. I have all my voice memos on my phone. Everything's like backed up, just in case, God forbid, something ever happens to that. And then, yeah, I mean, I think that there are definitely, times where I've gone into the studio, we've like written something, and I've even just like demo voice memoed it on my phone if I didn't have time at the end of the session to like actually hop in there. A lot of times I really, really try to prioritize at least tracking something right after, because the energy in the room is good. And like more times than not, there have definitely been times where I've gone in and I've retracked vocals and I've been like, you know what, I still like how that chorus felt. Let's do like, let's mix up and keep some of the original vocals. So I think it's important for me to always like have an idea down. And then yeah, I have a few hard drives that I organize stuff on. So does my producer. So we have everything in a safe place, but I try to be as like most fluid as possible. I mean, even like if I do, let's say randomly, like, you know, someone's like, hey, do you want to come to the session tomorrow? Or, you want to write, something enough for yourself, or you want to, collab in that way. Like, I'll always have my bank of titles and then just see what kind of feels right. I feel like that's just how my brain has always worked. I've always worked off titles. I think that it's good to like go into a situation knowing what you want to say, but more importantly, how you want to say it or how you want to come across. Because there are times where I'll have an idea and I'm like, okay, I want to say this, but how am I going to say it? And I think that's really important to know as you're walking into the room.
Yeah, that's interesting. As a drummer doing sessions or joining a new band or whatever, titles are something I had to have to mentally create a block to learn the song. And when you hear it, all right, well, and this next one goes like this, I would say, stop. What is the name of this song? And in cases where, it's like, well, it's a new song, I haven't titled it yet. I'm like, what's the first line of the chorus? That's going to be the title for me. Uh, but that's how, because then, jotting down, verse, chorus, and the rhythms and the kicks and everything, I commit that to visual memory. This title goes with this big drum break, later in the song. Yeah, titles are a thing. Uh,
Yeah.
no, and I think it's really interesting over the series of these interviews. I've asked a lot of people about their songwriting process and how do you keep it. And some people are just diaries upon diaries, just tons of paper or tons of recordings. And everybody says, well, I wish they were a little better organized. But if you spend all your time organizing, you're not writing. So I
No.
think if you have a loose organization, I know
Yeah.
these things are invoice memos, these are written down. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Um, I have kind of a few questions I like to ask everybody.
Cool.
Um, I'm just, it's kind of my personal interest, but I think others find it interesting too, is when you want to hear music, where do you go? Do you go to a record player or is it Spotify or is it, what is your go-to platform for listening to music?
Definitely Spotify and Apple. I do have a record player in my room that I have. I have one Fall Out Boy album. I love them. I have a few Adele things. And sometimes I'll put it on like if I'm cleaning my room or just like, vibing, like I can just, put it on. But mainly I love to listen to stuff in my car, so I will say Spotify and Apple. On Apple, I do have, like some playlists, like a workout playlist and stuff like that. And this like comes from way before Spotify was even, a thing. So I still will go on Apple and I'll listen to those playlists that I've made because, it's what I'm familiar with and like things like I like to work out to or just, throwback vibes or something like that. But definitely I love to listen to stuff in my car. So I feel like I don't know, I'm just used to the speakers in there and I think there's just like nothing more fun than just like driving and vibing and I'll be like, this is a sad song. I feel like I'm in a rainy music video or something like that.
But car stereos were always the proving ground to me after a recording session. Like you're in the studio and you hear it through the great studio speakers and it sounds amazing and you can put in earbuds, but it was let's go out to our car and listen to it. And
Yes.
it would just reveal things like, oh, yeah, there is too much bass because there's not a $10,000 subwoofer in the room. um,
Yes,
or,
I
or
completely agree with you. I think another thing for me is like I will also listen on my phone speakers. That's a big thing that I will do because I feel like sometimes I'll be like, okay. And even sometimes I'll be like, this sounds amazing on the phone speakers. And then I'll listen in the car, or I'll listen in the studio, and I'll be like, this background, I don't even hear it anymore. Why don't I hear it anymore? So it's like all the speakers are different. But I think that for me, like, I don't love to like, just listen to stuff on my phone speakers, but for me when I'm approving things, I think it's important because I don't know, I look at it through a lens where it's like most people are going to be looking at their phone, and there are a lot of times where, since I have a presence on socials and I make myself aware of that, I think that, I'm posting the song all the time. So if it doesn't sound good as somebody scrolling on their phone, it's like that's not really good.
That's that's really interesting. And I've never heard anyone say that. It's like, well, why would you
Yeah.
make it sound good on this? Because this sounds terrible. And you need
Yeah.
to explain why. Because yeah, if somebody says, "Oh, have you heard Sydney Gordon?" Here, listen.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
that's your
Exactly. I
first
think
impression.
also like my mom also, like she needs to get a new phone, and her phone speakers, I don't know, she's definitely dropped her phone way too many times, probably in water or something. And her phone speakers are very, you know, they're very heavy on the bass and stuff like that. So when I like play her stuff, I send it to her, she tries to listen on her phone and she's like, "Sydney, I don't understand. I can't understand this." And I'm like, that's a real thing though. Like everybody's phone has different speakers, everybody's listening on a different, device. And I think like the best way to like test to see, how your stuff sounds if you want to improve it and stuff like that is to definitely, listen on even other people's phones. Like sometimes like I'll like grab my friend's phone and I'll be like, "Oh, can I just see my reel really quick? I want to see how it sounds or how like it presents like on the phone." I want to make sure, the grid looks good and stuff like that. Like I think just, seeing it through other people's lens. I think that's like a good thing of advice that I didn't mention before is like trying to, I don't want to say try to view what you're doing as a consumer, but like there are times where sometimes I'll just be like laying in bed or I'll just be chilling and I'll be like, okay, if I didn't know me and I was scrolling through these reels, what would I think? And like put myself in the other person's shoes. Like, what do I like watching or listening to from the artists that I love and grew up with? Like, what would I like to watch or hear from them or see from them? Like, I try to put myself into the other people's shoes.
Oh, that's great. Um, yeah, I'm kind of floored right now, the producing for phone, because literally I've never heard anyone say do that. And it's just so obvious. Like you would never produce an album to sound good on a phone, but if you don't check it, that's just
You need to
ignorance.
check it. And like, fun fact, like about my song Psychopath that came out, like, we were approved with the mix and we sent it to master. And don't do this. This isn't advice. That is just good. Check it on your phone. This is why you check it on your phone now. This is why I learned. But I was like, I had everything ready. We were ready to go. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start making some TikToks early so I can have them in the bank because, like, I always have plan B. And I was like, why do these snaps sound so loud on the phone? Like, the snaps were just like, they were snapping. They were loud. And I was like, and then I called everybody up and I was like, I don't mean to drive you crazy, but I think we need to lower the snaps and like redo this because if somebody's listening to this on their phone, the snaps, like they were like going through my head. They were so loud, but they didn't sound like that on any other device. But I was like, people are going to be scrolling on their phone and looking on TikTok. Like, what else would they do? Like, people can be discovering this song through that platform. So I don't want them to be listening to snaps that are too loud and then it distracts them from the whole point. So, yeah.
Wow. And so did you figure out that it was a frequency of the snaps that was just super sensitive on phones or something? Was it something in the mix that they were able to?
I really don't know. But I mean we lowered it like a few dB. It wasn't anything too crazy and it sounded better. So I think that, I think that definitely probably a frequency thing. The snaps were peeking through a little too much.
I think the dynamic of moments like that. You had one one video, maybe on Instagram, where you were singing back and you were like, "Is there latency?" And the engineer was like, "No, there's not." Um, those sorts of moments, if an artist is like questioning it every minute, for hours, that gets terrible. Or, if the engineer isn't listening to anything, you're not working. But it's kind of like if you see it, say something because that's your chance right there. And the snaps is such a good example of, um, yeah, even great engineers, great producers are hearing from their perspective, not listening for things like that potentially. It's
Yeah, I
it's
think it's
so important to
important.
speak up.
definitely need to speak up. It's something that I've learned through the process because I won't say if I hear it now, it's going to bother me later. I used to say that because now sometimes I'm like, okay, I was unsure about this, but now I'm refreshing myself and I took a little ear break and I actually do like it. But there are definitely times in the past where like I have been in the room with some people, not people that, I wouldn't work with again or that, I don't work with them now, but I would work with them again. But I think that everybody, sometimes has a strong opinion and if you don't like something, it could be the best song in the world, but if you don't feel like it's authentic to you, like you're still in the process of be if you're in the process and you're able to tweak things, like I think it's important that like before the point of no return that, if you feel strongly about something, you say it.
Yeah. Um, oh, I think the worst case, I don't even know how this happened. One of my favorite artists in Austin in the 90s, and he's still playing, his name's David Garza. Um, he was just recording and releasing his own albums, completely independent and really popular sort of in the South, Southeast. Um, and he released an album, and it was the one right before he got signed. Anyway, one of our favorite songs, it goes into the guitar solo, and I'm in headphones, and it cuts out, and there's no sound through the whole guitar solo. And I swore my headphones were broken. Like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
terrible. I gotta buy new headphones. And I went in the car. It happened in the car. So then I called my friends who I knew bought the CD, like, hey, have you listened here? The guitar solo, all the sound dropped out in one channel for about 20 seconds. And I mean, my heart was broken. It didn't make or break his career,
Yeah.
but it just shows you have, 20 people listening to everything and big things can be missed. Um,
Yeah, it really is, especially when you're listening so much. And like, I won't say deadlines are even a contributing factor for me. I think that like I can listen to something 20 times and then I could hear it on the 21st time where I'm like, wait a minute, like why didn't I catch this before? And then once you hear something, you can't unhear it. It's just like there are a lot of things that I have not heard and then listened to a bunch of times after things have came out and I'm like, I wish I caught that, but I have to let it go.
one of my bands did a live performance on a PBS live music show, and it's 100% live. And in one of our big songs, it starts off with a drum intro, and as soon as the band comes in, my drumstick just flies out of this hand. And so there's
Oh
like
my,
three dropped snare hits while I get my other, my backup stick. And luckily that didn't derail the song. Like it kind of provided a neat little drop, and then and then we all come back. But
yeah,
no, when you can fix those, I think it's important. Um,
things happen.
we talked just briefly before we started recording here. You've looking forward the next few months. You've got Plan B singles ready to go. So I don't think this video will be released in time for your Arlene show in a few days, but you've got plans for early 2026 just to keep dropping singles periodically.
Yeah, definitely. I have a Christmas song coming out Friday, that I'm pretty excited about. That was a similar situation considering like TikTok and the holidays. I was like, do I want to release a Christmas song? I've never done it before. Like, how do I write something that hasn't been done? And it was like a fun experience. It was really cool. It was a fun experience. So I have that coming out on Friday. I'm excited. And then, yeah, I'm definitely going to be dropping a bunch of stuff. I have a lot of stuff lined up for the next half of the year. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna roll it out. I definitely know, I won't say too much, but I don't know exactly to the T how it's gonna be done, but there is stuff coming. It's definitely, we have a lot in in the next upcoming months that's gonna be really cool. I'm really excited.
Well, that's great. For those of you who aren't already following Sydney Gordon, go to sydneygordonmusic.com. All the links are there. Sid Gordon Music on Instagram. Uh, you're a very entertaining follow. It's
Oh, thanks.
there's such a nice blend of it's not all singing stuff. It's not all glamour shots or whatever. There's such a nice mix. You get to see who you are as a person and then who you are as your artist. And it's mostly an overlap, but there's we all have different aspects. So yeah, please go follow Sydney Gordon. Sydney, it's been great visiting with you. I can't wait to
Thank
hear the
you for
Christmas
having
song.
me. Yes, I'm excited for you to hear it. I'm super excited. I can send it to you too if you wanna listen
Absolutely.
beforehand.
I'd love a sneak peek before the rest of the
Yeah.
world. Great. All right. Well, good visiting with you. Thank you very much
Thank
for taking the
you.
time.
Thank you for having me.
If you can get up to Birmingham, if you can get to Brighton, the Brighton Guitar Show, absolutely amazing places to talk to people who have the knowledge. They were just so nice and were like, yeah, we'll support you, we'll do this, send you this. The Richter guitar straps, they do strings as well. They were like, take this pack of strings for free, try them out, do a video, or just talk about them on Instagram or whatever, and tell us what you think of them. And that alone makes a massive difference. Don't be scared. Us musicians, we're here to support each other.
Welcome to another episode of In the Chair with. Cupchairs had the privilege of speaking with Wes from Shackle. They're a band that are local to me. We talk about starting up, getting on the road, things that glow in the dark, and more importantly, how you can get sponsorship quite easier than you thought. Wes, Shackle, welcome to In the Chair with. You're a kind of local band. I'm native to Chatham, Rochester.
Oh, okay.
You're yep. In the region, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. My girlfriend is. I'm sort of down, Thanet way.
Oh, okay.
But I spend a bit of time up there, so.
Ah, excellent. Well, I was actually Thanet before Medway, so Ramsgate was my neck of the woods.
Okay. Yeah.
I was actually down there for the last 4 days helping a friend out. So, yes, okay. So you're Kentish. There we are.
Yes, yeah.
So talk to me about Shackle. It's got quite a very distinctive name and logo with the cuffs. Let's talk about the idea behind it.
Yeah, so I've been in many bands over the years, joined bands, but never started my own. And after being in a few covers bands, I was like, you know what, I want to start writing my music. And from there on, I just wrote a couple of songs. And then I was like, I think this could actually work. So I spoke to my friend Josh, who's the drummer now. I've been friends with him since we were teenagers. We started the first band ever, both of us together. So, which was really nice. When we were teenagers in a local youth centre, we started a little band called Arcadio, and we would just do covers for the local kids, and it was great. And then we lost contact. A few years later, I obviously got back in contact with him, especially because of lockdown. Really, we started playing video games together. So I was like, you know what, I've got music here. So I contacted him and said, look, do you want to try these out? I was like, yeah, I'll give them a go. So we met up in a music room, played a couple of the songs, and we're like, yeah, let's give it a go. So we got Dan along, who was someone that Josh worked with, and then after that we found Stevie on a website called Join My Band.
Yes,
Stevie's actually Stevie's actually a guitarist, but he wanted to play bass, and he came in, and I said to him, I don't want a bass player that's just going to follow the rhythm. I want something melodic coming from the bass. I want something different. And do you know what? He smashed it out of the park. He absolutely put a proper spin on bass playing in my eyes. And I was like, this is amazing. It's perfect.
Bass players often get a bit of a hard rap for just kind of following the root note and all this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
And like I'm a keyboardist, and then I kind of learned guitar off the back of that to put something to all the keyboard orchestrations I was coming up with, and then of course that lends itself to full on self-recording production. So I've actually kind of got a bass, and that's kind of where I started, was just following it around. But the kind of just the format of the keyboard, when you translate that to bass, it's a very different way of playing. I'm sure traditional bass players will tell me off my form is awful. I could be doing stuff here instead of going up and down.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful instrument once you get into its nuances. I'm finding bass work addictive. Normally it was a chore. It was like, okay, I've got to put some bass down now just to fill it out and get that low EQ.
Exactly.
Yeah, but now it's like, I could be super creative here and do all of this. So it's really good when you get someone that's got an approach like that and it works. So was there any themology behind the name Shackle, or your approach, or your music? Tell us about that.
So basically, with me, whenever I've sort of been in bands, they've always come up with these really long names, or names that you can't, like a really big mouthful. And I thought, you know what, just have something simple.
Okay.
I was like, do you know what, the word shackle has got it's got that the beginning bit is a very sharp sh sort of sound, and then the curt with the shackle part. I was like, that sounds that's impactful. Do you know what I mean? It's got strength in there, and there's so many bands out there that are called Shackle something or the Shackles or something.
Yes,
no one's ever got to just Shackle, and I was like, that makes no sense. So stole the name. Well, I say stole the name.
You took ownership of the singular noun. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So Shackle was born that way. We first of all had a logo, and it was two hands holding a chain. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is really good. I bought stickers, blah blah blah. And then someone said to me, there's no shackles on there. It's just two hands holding chains. And I was like, that makes sense. So that's where we changed the logo to actually have shackles on there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, when you get caught up in the creative process, sometimes you could miss the obvious. You're rocking around with a logo that wasn't quite accurately portraying the word, but who really noticed? But it took one.
Yes, exactly. And then I was like, oh, of course, yeah. But it was so simple. I like simplicity. I like people to go, oh, what was if someone goes, oh, what was the name of the band? It's a bit like, and maybe I've done something wrong, or but if you've got Shackle, people are like, oh, that's quite strong.
Yes.
It's quite a strong name. So I was like, do you know what, I'm sticking with it. And a year and a half later, it's still doing pretty well. So for what it is, for what we started out from, because we started last May, so May 2023. That's when me and Josh were like, okay, let's put this together. Towards the end of May, we had Dan, Stevie just on board, and then a week later it was, okay, we know we're a full band now, let's go. So sort of beginning of June, end of May, beginning of June, that's where it all kicked off.
And where you started, I just want to roll back slightly as I was thinking.
Yes,
No, it's absolutely fine. You said that you'd always kind of played in sort of covers and bits and pieces, but then you decided to actually have a go and start writing a couple of songs. What was the kind of impetus to do that? What were those opening songs that you created about?
So the first two songs that I wrote was Goddesses, which was our first demo that we released, which is, I'll show you the merch that we have for it at the moment.
Yes, yeah.
Seamless. Showing it off there. So Goddesses and another song called Sinner's Guide, but the Sinner's Guide just didn't have the right oomph. It was there was something missing, and I couldn't figure it out. So I started writing some more songs once me and Josh were like, yeah, this could be cool. And then one evening, one of the most favourite crowd songs, should we call it? Sounds big-headed, but what a fan favourite, should we call it, is a song called Bar Fight. That's the one we start off with now, and it's just a very Nickelbacky type bouncy riff, very hard rock, very in your face, but it gets people pumping, and it's a good song to start. And that one, I was just sitting in my room and I was playing this riff, and I was like, this sounds really cool. And then I could just imagine people flying around and just fists flying and chairs flying across the room, and that's how that song started. Then from there it was just I was just writing song after song after song, where I was like, okay, I need to stop now because we need to concentrate on these. Sorry.
Once you open those floodgates, it almost like writing can take over your life. It's like you've been stuck in a room for days with a pen. But I also wanted to ask on what you said there was, I wondered, is this how song ideas come to you? Because you mentioned playing a riff and then you had a visualization for and then that lent itself to the lyrics and the kind of like the theme. Is that how it works for you?
Yes. So, because I'm the vocalist as well, I find it very difficult to play. If you look at like Metallica, for example, James Hetfield, he plays some insane stuff over some very, very complicated riffs that don't match the vocals. So my brain will go, okay, I need to play this part, but my other side of my brain won't be able to go, okay, you can sing this at the same time. It then it's all up in a matter. So I try and simplify everything. So I get a main riff and go, this sounds really cool. This is the hook. This is what people are going to be bopping their head to. And then when the lyrics come in, it's just very simple chords. If you look at like Lady Flamenco, it's just chug, 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 or just an open chord, then an open chord again. But it's an E minor, but then I do the E minor shape, but just 2 frets up and then leave the E still ringing. So it's almost like a strange F,
like an
type.
open E type. Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
like an OPEF chord or something like this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
yes. Something dissonant but sounds amazing.
This is the trick. I mean, I wouldn't class myself as a vocalist. My background was instrumental, but you know, that's a niche within a niche, especially in the kind of sort of brutal kind of death metal / kind of gothic Cradle of Filth-esque major, and then kind of you got Rick Wakeman-esque solos. That's the kind of bag that I'm about. So nice. I then started to sort of teach into the vocals. I still would not consider myself a vocalist, even though my people kind of tell me I've progressed quite well, but in getting that difference in rhythm pattern, so it doesn't always match the kind of the bar chords and stuff. A technique that I used was exactly that, having kind of more open and dissonant stuff, so that you're kind of tuned to like a harmony, even if it's a bit of a dystonic harmony. And then it's just like adding a third here or there or whatever. Simple hammer on, hammer offs, and that kind of starts to increase the fluidity of you being able to do these two very different things at the same time. I mean, it's probably I'm somewhere down here on the vocal experience chain, giving advice to someone that's probably up here, but that's the way I've approached it, and that may well be helpful. So in terms of imagery, let's talk about the single Lady Flamenco, because it seems a bit of a peculiar from the outside, having when you haven't listened yet, kind of imagery and choice of name. What's the story behind that?
So funny thing is, I'll show you now. So I got a tattoo today.
Oh, congratulations! Yes,
thank you very much. I'm going to try and see if I can get it in the. I can't twist my arm like that, unfortunately.
That's fine.
That'll be better.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, indeed. Very nice.
So basically, I lived in Spain for 8 years.
Oh, muy bueno. Yeah.
Muy bien, muy bien. I moved out there when I was young, sort of 7, 8. So I had all my school years through there. I've listened to lots of Spanish music. Flamenco is, as you know, is absolutely huge out there.
Yes,
that's the birthplace of flamenco. So I've always messed around, because when someone says to me, "Oh, there's an acoustic guitar there, play something," so what I do is I instantly go for an E chord.
You go straight for the E and you lift it up 1 fret with the open strings. Yeah.
That's exactly it. And one day I was like, "Oh, I've got this." It was acoustic. So it was just dun, 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 dun. I got that in my head, and I was like, "That would sound amazing." And then I came up with the riff, the da 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 on the acoustic, and I was like, "I'll add a harmony." And then in my head, it was Metallica's, I think it's Battery. You know, Battery. Battery. It's got the sort of Spanish guitar with the harmonies, and they keep just adding layers of harmonies. Yeah. I was like, that would sound amazing. And then I got that together, and I was like, I'm going to play those exact same chords as minors instead of majors on electric guitar, going and I was like, that sounds amazing. And then I got that main riff that I played on the acoustic and did it on electric, and it just went from there. Oh yeah, and it just kept on getting better and better and better, and adding all these bits, and then adding the chorus, the da 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 da, adding those bits into the chorus. It was just huge. And I remember the first time as a band we played it all together, and we got through it all the way through, and I was just like, this is I can't explain it other than, I know it sounds again very big-headed, but I hate my own music, by the way, but this just blew my mind.
I think that's actually quite a common thing from a composer standpoint. I go through huge periods of absolute loathing anything I've ever done, and then perhaps if something gets really historic, I could kind of look at it a bit kinder. But at the same time, I'm so wrapped up in what I'm doing now and how kind of good it is until the moment it's released, and then I fucking hate it. I'm like, that should have been done like that. I could have spent more time on that. I think that's something that's quite natural, and but I also think that it comes from a place that propels you to carry on creating, because if you were satisfied with your final product each and every time, there'd be nothing, there'd be no impetus to create something new, perhaps. I don't know if you can.
I completely agree. It's because you can get fixated on something and go, this is absolutely amazing, but that's what happens if you fixate on just one thing. You'll end up with just like a one-hit wonder type thing, and then everything else you do, you go, oh, it doesn't compare to that, it doesn't compare to that. So you just lack, I think you just lack that, what's the word I'm looking for? The inspiration.
Yeah.
Because you're like, this is great. But with me at the moment, I will admit I do have writer's block. So I'm a bit, but we've got enough songs to throw out there and people are still enjoying them, which is good. So we get in there with it, and then having other songs that I'm currently writing in the background, we don't have to rush them.
No, of course.
Is a good thing.
And you're very busy doing kind of lots of gigs and stuff. You've done a whole bunch around Medway that I became aware of. I did intend to come down to the 17th, but life and
life happens,
indeed. But I'm seeing you on the 24th at Poco Loco. I've got no excuse for not turning up that one, because it's literally my road, hill down a road there. You know, it's literally it's a straight line. I'll even be able to walk home after I've consumed alcohol there. So it's just a straight line. I lost where I was with the friend. Yes, you've been very busy kind of going out and playing. I'm assuming everything's kind of been well received. But the kind of journey from coming out of kind of sort of local band into kind of writing your own stuff, forming this band, getting it laid down and right and honed for performance, and of course holding down the day jobs, because obviously this is not profitable work we're doing here.
Yes.
On the on the side. And it's many small bands that kind of get sort of forgotten or kind of just kind of lost in the kind of miasma of other bands similar. What would be your kind of words of wisdom, I suppose, to others that are either just starting out or perhaps, you know, kind of either coming back into doing it, but kind of staring at what can sometimes feel like the futility of it all?
Obviously, the cliche thing that everyone says is, oh, don't give up, keep on moving forward. That is true, but also don't be scared. Us musicians, we're here to support each other. So if you've got any doubts, go to shows, go to gigs, talk to these people that you see up on stage, these local bands, because they have experience. So talk to them, show them that you're interested in your craft. You want to better yourself. Go out there, talk to people. Another thing as well that a lot of bands don't seem to do nowadays, and I find it quite strange, but if you're a local band, look at the guitar shows around the country. There's one in Birmingham, which is huge. And just that one show alone, I've learned so much, networked, met so many people. If you can get up to Birmingham, if you can get to Brighton, the Brighton Guitar Show, absolutely amazing places to talk to people who have the knowledge. I also go over to Germany as well. That might be a bit of a stretch, but I go over to Germany once a year to the Guitar Summit. And from there I've gained 2 endorsements, one from Engel and one from Richter Straps. And that's just going there and talking to these people. I'm not a big person. I've got a YouTube channel and stuff as well that I do gear review on. It's not huge, but you go and talk to these people, and that's what they want. They want you to be interested in their product. Don't expect things to come to you. You go to them.
Interesting. That's because I do hear in my capacity of interviewing and all. I do hear a lot of things, as you say. You know, just keep hammering away at it, don't give up, and that's all very important. But each time I hear that, it's often, as you've done, you've underlined it with some personal experience. And you know, even someone of my age and my, I suppose, confidence and my networking abilities wouldn't have thought the idea to sort of go to a guitar tech and go, so I do a bit of this, I do a bit of that, and the average guy can get endorsed. This is something that even in my experience, in my brain, is something that I've put on a pedestal. But it's probably just as equally as achievable to me or the next man,
Yeah, definitely. As I say, I'm not a big YouTuber. I've got, I think, maybe 1,900 subscribers on YouTube. But I went out there with the front, with the, hey, look, this is what I do. I love music. I love the amps. I tried them out there in front of them, talked to them about them, was interested in the product. And they were just so nice and were like, yeah, we'll support you. We'll do this, send you this. The Richter guitar straps, they do strings as well. They'll like, take this pack of strings for free, try them out, do a video, or just talk about them on Instagram or whatever, and tell us what you think of them. And that alone makes a massive difference.
Well, yeah, because I'm thinking about it, even when you're owning a very successful company, like Richter, you're probably passing out so many kind of samples and all this kind of stuff, and absolutely no one is going to take the effort to actually like film a video and everything like that. So they're probably they're better financed and better established in the market, probably through hard work, and no doubt about that.
Of course,
but they are still actually just very much like us, kind of talking into the void a lot of the time. It's we forget how similar we are and how we like to kind of separate ourselves into hierarchies and layers that only really exist in our own minds. So kudos to you for working that one out and sharing that with us. And as I say, every interview I learn something new, which goes to prove the point. Talking is beneficial. Exactly.
If people stop talking, no one learns anything.
No, indeed. So there's a bunch of songs that you've got that's polished. Are you going to be drip feeding them single by single?
Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to move that way, just because recording nowadays is so expensive. Just to give you an idea, this was on the more of the lower end price wise, but still. Excuse me, Jason from Century Audio, who is in Margate, amazing sound engineer, drummer, absolutely insane at what he does. He was the one that recorded it and mastered and mixed it for us, and that's I've lost my train of thought. Where did that go? So we went there with him. He's done an amazing job with it, and my mind's gone blank. Why does it do that?
It's okay. We were at sort of price points. That was your entry.
Price point. That's the one. Yes, It's getting. It's a bit pricey out there, but I think we managed to get that one song over 2 days, over a weekend, for £400. Just to give a slight idea of how much recording is. So I think we're going to probably just sort of drip them here and there, sort of singles. We were thinking of doing a release by the end of the year, hopefully an EP, but at the moment we're looking at sort of 1,200 quid. That's about 300 quid each, and the living crisis that we're in, unfortunately, is not it's not
conducive.
But
it never is, and it never has been. Money has always been the eternal bane of the musician. I think a single by single strategy is kind of better for your kind of social media awareness, and it allows albums are very much now vanity kind of projects. So if you can drip feed your album or your EP by singles, that's going to keep some of the motion and momentum going. And of course live shows as well, and because even though you've worked out what I think is quite a good, a bloody good deal there with Jason in Margate, but this highlights the absolute importance of people buying merch. So yes,
incredible.
So will there be a merch stand where I'm coming to? Because I will try and pick something up indeed to show some solidarity. It's always good to kind of meet bands as they are kind of formed on their way up, as well as deal with kind of the more established, the more seasoned, signed, unsigned, made it, and then on their downfall. It's nice to have a bit of the mix, but I think wherever anyone is on this journey, there's always bits and pieces to learn. So you've been very kind of helpful, and it's been a fantastic talking with you. But I did want to have I wanted to kind of pick up your brains about your your writer's block. What is it? What is the first kind of hurdle that you're coming up with? What's your process leaning into it, and where does the gate get shut?
Yeah, so when it comes to our songwriting, we whatever I write is pretty much what comes out, and we try it out and see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Lady Flamenco, for example. We have another song called Livy, which is more rock and roll, upbeat. It's 3 chords. So we have, and then we've got Bar Fight, which is more Nickelbacky, more sort of grungy. We have all these different things because I didn't want to just stick to, like, say, Lady Flamenco, for example, and then write a song similar to it that sounded similar. I wanted stuff that anyone can listen to and go, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Everyone has something that they can enjoy, and I think the writer's block that I'm having at the moment is I've got a lot going on in my life at the moment with work, and as everyone does nowadays.
Yes.
And I think life sometimes gets in the way of that. So with extra stresses, sometimes you're trying to record something, you're trying to get something out there, but your mind just won't relax. So I think that's where I am at the moment. But I've got such a good backing from the rest of the band, from family members, from my girlfriend. Everyone is so supportive of what is happening that I don't have to stress about it so much.
No.
And having a good sort of a solid foundation from support is a massive thing. And we've got another couple of songs that are in the back burner at the moment, but we've got so many gigs that are coming up. We don't have to worry about writing other songs because people are wanting to listen to what we've already got. So I think more towards the end of the year, we'll be looking at chucking maybe another couple of songs into the rehearsal studio, just crack them out, see how we get on with them. But we've got this gig coming up this weekend. We have another one in October in Maidstone at the Skull Bar. That's on the 12th of October. And it just gives us a place where we don't have to stress about getting new songs out there. We have enough to be able to play with, basically.
Yeah, no. What I took from that, it was interesting, is one that you're not continually writing the same kind of stuff, which is good because it's whatever comes from within is very rarely the same. So it's good to be authentic. If you end up writing this and it's this style, and end up writing that and it's that style, then that is, at least you're being honest to yourself. That's really a good good thing to be kind of doing, approach to take it. But life, and bringing some Buddhism in here, life is always going to be full of suffering and aches and pains, and not enough time for as one composer or writer to another. The one thing that I was really reticent to do, because I lived in this, like, I'm having a creative moment and it's 4 a.m. in the morning and that's how I am. Therefore I won't bookmark and schedule time, or at least try and knock something down once every 2 weeks at a certain day or time. Life can get in the way. But if you kind of could get into the habit of being a little bit more scheduling with it, 3 out of 4 of those 4 times might work out. And it also, there's a lot of talk about, well, you're creative when you're creative and you can't kind of discipline creativity. You can. It took me until my sort of 40s to kind of realise that part of the creative is equally exists on that side of the coin as well. So maybe just a couple of things to kind of stick in the back of your mind, because we obviously want you open and creative as possible.
Exactly. People want to hear. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. And writer's block is an absolute shit. I hate it.
It is. People want to hear authentic. They don't want to hear rushed. They don't want to hear stuff that is just thrown out there just because. And I think if you genuinely take the time to sit down, I like what you said there, where people go, oh yeah, I want this time to do this, or oh, I've got creativity times right now. And if you're sitting there and you're a guitarist, for example, anyone that's a guitarist out there, this is what I do, is that I'll just be there practicing, and then every once in a while I'll just go, what about this type of riff, adding it into my exercise. That always helps as well. There's a song that we've got called El Pistolero, which is the gunman in Spanish. And it's a very rockabilly, bouncy type riff. You'll hear it on Saturday. It's the second song that we play. And it's very bouncy, but it's actually part of an exercise. In a drop D or drop D sharp drop C sharp that we play it in is a very how do I say this, sort of an exercise that I do, and I was like, okay, what? Oh, because I accidentally missed a note, and so just by practicing alone, even if it's 10 minutes a day, you need the practice. 10 minutes a day is vital, but sometimes just by accidentally having something like that, you go, oh, get your phone, press it, I'll change it around, and that's all you need. All you need is a phone that can record or something that can record, and just keep playing. And if something happens, press that record button and play it. That is some advice that I can give as well.
Yeah, I echo that advice. I always have something nearby that can capture it. I've taken sometimes to sort of record video sessions because I'm very bad at writing things down. I lost the ability to sight read music, and I keep promising I'm going to relearn that side of things. But yeah, still not as disciplined as I should be. But definitely a quick video of the phone. And of course you need the practice in, because there's nothing worse than, as is what's happened with me, is I've taken a big break from doing anything because of work, because of that project, because of this and that, and then you come up with something but you can't play it because you're just so like everything's atrophied. That is the worst. You're like hammering away at this guitar and like, I know I want this, I know I can do it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
You wake up in the morning like Nosferatu, you know.
So playing it over and over and over and over again. Definitely no.
Dear. Okay, cool. So I'm going to see you at Poco Loco in Chatham on the 24th, and I'm going to pick myself up a t-shirt and have a good fun time of it. To the viewers watching this, check out Shackle. Go and save their Spotify, and I'll leave all kind of links. You said you run a YouTube channel that's dedicated on equipment. Leave that link, send that link to me. I'll get that posted below, and let's see if we can't sort of grow a bit of a community together. Thank you very much for coming on.
No, thank you so much for taking your time to interview us. And again, to the viewers, I hope anything that I've said today is helpful at all to you in your music career or anything like that at all. As long as one person's got something out of it, that's good for me.
That's it. That's all that counts. Excellent. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you very much, Ben. Take care.
You too.
I was in a difficult situation at the time, and you know that difficult situation ended up working to my advantage, because I was genuinely really pissed off, tried to let go of it all and come back to who Germ is as a character, because this is my performance alter ego. And Germ really doesn't give a fuck about anything. It's a vicious place to be. I wouldn't want to live there all the time, but you know, I can step into it and step out of it.
Welcome to another edition of In the Chair with. Cupchairs had the great privilege of talking with Jamie, aka Germ, from The Bleeding, a UK thrash death extreme act. This is In the Chair with.
How have you been? What have you been up to?
Well, first of all, let me say it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the interview. It's always nice to get to talk about what we've been up to, and I've watched some of your interviews, and you seem like a very articulate chap. So
I try. Thank you for so much for coming on, and also, you know, thank you so much for the music. I'd heard kind of bits as I sort of go about listening to music in general, but I took the opportunity this morning to go right through Monocrator, and it was such a blissful experience. First thing in the early hours of the morning when everyone else is asleep, this brutal music going on. It was so good. Listen to it twice back to back. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
It marks a bit of significant sort of evolution. It was that difficult third album. What are the key influences and inspirations behind it?
Difficult third album. All the albums are difficult.
Okay.
Some more difficult than others. So, life events, I would say. As much as when I was younger and maybe a little more naive and impressionable, I believed that the artists who made the albums that I loved could simply continue to produce albums of similar style and substance. And when I became more, I suppose, experienced, I realized that an album is a time and a place and a set of circumstances, and it's an imprint into the world and the people who you're around at that time, what you're listening to, whether you want to be listening to it or not, all of the influences that are around you. So when people ask this question, I feel a lot of band members immediately jump to naming the artist that inspired them, or oh yeah, I was listening to this and this. To me, it's more a series of life events and circumstances, and not surreptitious, what's the right word here, serendipitous circumstances. For Monocriture, I was in a difficult situation at the time, and that difficult situation ended up working to my advantage, because I was genuinely really pissed off when I wrote the album lyrics. So that's the biggest influence, was life events.
Yeah, well, this is a common theme for a lot of musicians. It's a release. It's key to our mental survival, and as musicians, whether we like it or not, we're compelled to chew up everything that's gone on around us and regurgitate it through the medium of expression through music and composition.
Right.
I mean, that probably explains exactly why your vocal delivery on tracks like the opener to the album, Chemical Lobotomy, they're particularly aggressive. Now that the life events are past, how do you prepare for such an intense performance and delivery that moment when recording?
It's a good question.
Thank you.
Well, I think I have the same goal that a lot of artists have, which is to try to let go of as much of what's the trivialities, I suppose, and the whatever's floating around in my head. Just before I go on stage, I try to let go of it all and come back to who Germ is as a character, because this is my performance alter ego. And Germ really doesn't give a fuck about anything. So I try to just sidestep all of my bullshit and get into that headspace of just pure aggression. And it's a vicious place to be. I wouldn't want to live there all the time, but I can step into it and step out of it. So I can't stand the idea of somebody performing. It's sort of like acting when people act, and it looks terrible, and they're not really feeling what they're feeling. And I've seen many acts who some of them do an incredibly good job, right? They're very convincing, but I can still tell that they're acting. It's an act.
Yeah.
And I want to sidestep that as much as I can. I want to cut straight to the real feelings that are there. I've had trouble in my life. I think most metalheads have. And
it's a common denominator.
Put it this way. Yeah, there's plenty to draw on. Let's put it that way.
Let's talk about the evolution of Germ. And was this the alter ego and kind of character name that you came with from the outset of the group, or is this something that's developed for longer or shorter period of time?